All right, so next topic. Reviewing my first ever video game on this channel. So I beat Doom 2016 a couple nights ago, and we're gonna be talking about it. So if you aren't familiar with Doom, it is a classic video first-person shooter. It's one of the very first. It might be the first ever first-person shooter ever to be developed, but this game is a sort of soft reboot of the franchise that was released in 2016 by id Software, the publisher. Right? Publisher? Yeah. No, publisher was Bethesda. The developer was id Software. Sorry, I get confused. I talk. Relax, guys. But, yeah, so if you aren't familiar, especially with this game, you're, slaying demons, basically, as the Doom Slayer. And it's a very high-octane, high adrenaline, holy crap, metal as fuck video game that's amazing, and I beat it, and I want to talk about it. So, if you're unfamiliar with the actual settings and, what exactly goes on in Doom, basically, in this one, an evil scientist basically opens a portal to hell and unleashes demons on Mars. And you're on Mars, and you're an ultra badass, an ultra angry badass. So you get to slay a bunch of demons, and which is awesome, in very bloody and gruesome ways. And it's the greatest thing ever. It's not the greatest video game ever, but it's amazing. It's probably the most metal game I've ever played. Sort of kind of like Mad Max Fury Road's the most metal film I've ever seen. This is like the most metal video game I've ever played. So, yeah. If you're... Again, I keep saying if you're unfamiliar, you're familiar with Doom. Come on now. It's a first-person shooter. It's incredibly fast-paced. It's not like it's not like Call of Duty or Battlefield or fucking Fortnite's not a first-person shooter like Overwatch or whatever. It's very different. It's very more adrenaline-infused, very fast-paced. You're jumping everywhere. You're shooting. You're reloading. You're running everywhere. You're jumping. You're not taking cover. You're just running everywhere, basically. And yeah, it's extremely fun. The single player is pretty much the only thing to really play this. There is a multiplayer in the game, but I've tried it, and it's, I tried it now, a couple of days ago for the first time, and there's obviously no one's on it. Granted, it's a pretty basic multiplayer. 2, Doom Eternal, the sequel to this game, came out, so everyone's playing that. So, but I did get into a match, and it was it was fun. But the single player is what you play this game for, and the single player is around 15 to 20 hours, depending on difficulty and the amount of completion you want to do, the amount of collectibles that you want to get, or you want to find, and all the secrets you want to find. So it depends on you a bit, but it's pretty linear. It's just there's levels. You complete the levels. There's usually a boss fight or an ending battle at the very end of the level, and that you move on to. So that's the gameplay. I think there's around 10, maybe 12 different weapons to choose from in the game. My favorite being the double barrel shotgun. It is OP as fuck. It is the greatest thing ever. It's so fucking badass to use. The double barrel, as soon as you get the double barrel shotgun in the game, you're not going back to anything. You're not going back to any other weapon that you use. The Gauss cannon, or whatever the rail gun type of gun that you use, is pretty fun to use. That thing's pretty sick. Also, there's a gun called the BFG, or the big fucking gun. That thing's really awesome to use, but I would recommend when playing, you only get a certain amount of ammo every level. I think you get 3 shots. The BFG pretty much obliterates everything around you with one shot. So I would kind of save your ammo for the boss fights, because that's usually what I did, and made the boss fights a lot easier to do, because the boss fights are pretty fucking hard, and you're gonna die. That's another thing about this game. You're gonna die a lot. So be prepared for that. You're probably going to get a little angry. I know there was one particular boss fight that I literally couldn't complete. And I had to like set the controller down, walk away for a bit, for like a day, and then come back, and then I beat it. So yeah, it's definitely it's definitely a challenging game, and it's incredibly, which raises the intensity a lot with this one. So if that's kind of a thing you're into, like a more difficult type of experience, if you like first person shooters, for sure check this one out. Absolutely. Get it right now. I mean, especially if you've never played a Doom game before and you've been kind of flirting with the idea of getting it, get it now, man. I mean, we're all staying at home. It gives you an excuse to just play video games all day, so just do that. Plus, Doom 16, I'm pretty sure, one, it's a single-player driven game, so already the price is going to be low. And secondly, Doom Eternal came out, and that's a sequel to this game that I'm talking about, which I will inevitably buy, but I will wait for it to go on sale because it's a single-player based experience, so it's gonna fall in price pretty fast. That's what you usually find with games like this. But yeah, so the sequel came out. It's a single player based game. The price, I'm sure, is pretty low. I haven't checked. So yeah, I guarantee, I almost guarantee you it's pretty low though. So it's definitely not expensive right now. It's definitely worth $60. It's a game that's definitely worth $60, but you're not going to be buying it for $60. I guarantee you it's probably around $30. So I think I bought it on sale like 2 years ago. So, but yeah, I just finally completed it now. It took me 2 years. See, what happened was I like played it through like almost completion when I got it. And then, like, it wasn't 2 years ago. It was more like a year ago. But, yeah, came back to it, finished it. In, like, I needed to play for, like, 6 more hours. Got done with it. And, yeah, so talk about it on here. So, another thing that has to be talked about with this game, it has one of the greatest fucking soundtracks in a video game ever. I mean, the way the music enhances the gameplay, I've never had music enhance a video game so much than Mick Gordon, the composer of the soundtrack, does for this game. Like, it's the most metal game ever that I've ever played, mainly because of the soundtrack. It's all heavy metal, electronic type of music, which I'm kind of highly into. So I'm definitely biased in that fact. So I've already kind of like music of the sort of the heavy metal genre. So, I mean, if that kind of turns you off and that's definitely music you don't like to listen to, I would kind of see why someone wouldn't like this one. But I mean, it's so much fun and enhances the gameplay, and I think it's definitely, I love the soundtrack so much that I just listen to it, whether I'm like working out or doing something that makes me angry. Basically, it's angry music. I mean, it's an angry game, so if you have some internal frustrations, this is the perfect game for you. But yeah, I think my only criticisms of the game is that, like, the story is kind of non-existent. It's not really there. Whatever there is, it's kind of confusing on what's really happening. It's not very an engaging story, but that's not what the game's about. It's about the gameplay. It's about the high-octane, high-adrenaline type gameplay moments of you running around shooting demons. That in the most, disgusting ways possible. Like, that's what the game's about. It's about atmosphere. It's about world building. There's a lot of lore elements in the game that are really interesting that you can like pause the game, go into your codex or whatever and read about. So there's definitely lore elements there if that's a certain thing that you're into. And there's things to discover throughout the game that kind of give you a little insight on the world of Doom, which I thought was really cool, and it was like a good little addition that they didn't really need to add, but they did anyway, which was really cool. And I hear that kind of comes into play a little bit more in Doom Eternal, the sequel to this game that just recently got released. So I'm kind of pumped to play that game now. So yeah, if you like that type of stuff, it's definitely here. It's not, again, like I said, it's like a 15 to 20 plus hour game, so it's not incredibly long. It's not like The Witcher 3 where it's like hundreds of hours of content that you could possibly play. It's not like so big like a Red Dead Redemption that you just never finish it. But so like it's a beatable game, and it's an amazing experience to have. Plus, I mean, it's not short either. It's not on the shorter side at all. I mean, even like it's longer than The Last of Us, which is kind of crazy, which is another fantastic game, and I will play the second one when that comes out. I don't know if I'll be laid off still by then, but who knows how bad this stuff, I mean, the whole COVID situation will get, but hopefully it's not that bad that I'm laid off even going into May, but we'll see. If so, I'm going to be here playing The Last of Us Part 2, and will be talking about it. But yeah. So yeah, if you like first-person shooters at all, get this one right now. If you like heavy metal music, get this one right now. If you like atmosphere and world building, get this one right now. I mean, again, the only criticism is there's not much of a story, but I mean, it is there. Like, it exists. It's just not like, again, it's not God of War or, you know, The Last of Us or like a Mass Effect. It's not story driven. It's gameplay driven. So if that's a thing that kind of tickles your pickle, definitely check this one out for sure. Absolutely check this one out. It's really good. It's an amazing experience.